Welcome to the Knowledge Gumbo Podcast, where we mix together timeless wisdom, thought provoking stories using quotes, sayings, proverbs, book passages, primarily by Black women. I'm your curious minded host, Alicia Thomas, and this is your space for gaining knowledge and having meaningful discussions about history, culture, and life lessons with splashes of humor. What if the very thing you fear most is the key to unlocking your greatest potential? Today, we're diving into the powerful words of Ruby Dee, an actress, poet, and activist who broke barriers on stage and in life. Her quote, "God make me so uncomfortable that I will do the very thing that I fear." It challenges us to reframe fear as a force for transformation. It helps us to look at it in a way that we're not using fear as an obstacle or a stumbling block, but we're using it as a stepping stone. And Ruby Dee was the first African American woman to star in a major role at the American Shakespeare Festival in Stamford, Connecticut, breaking barriers for Black actresses in classical theater. Again, as we look at this quote, fear can be a signal for growth. It doesn't necessarily have to be its standard role as, whoa, let's wait, something might happen. Because a lot of times the things we fear are not real. They're things that we perceive. We use them as signals to say, I don't want to do the work. I'm afraid who I'll become on the other side of this. I'm afraid of what other people are going to think when I do something. But fear, it can be a positive signal for personal growth. Because when we stay in our comfort zone too long, we start to take things for granted. We start to abuse the things that are there that help us. We don't stretch ourselves out. We don't move forward. And when we do those kinds of things, it kind of bounces back on us in a negative way, in that we see other people doing things, going places, helping people, being successful, making money. Then that fear becomes resentment. That fear becomes envy. It's time to become greater than what I am. It's time to become more, to move forward. I was reading an article and they did a survey for the American Psychological Association, and it says that 70% of people reported their greatest life accomplishments were preceded by overcoming a major fear. Think about that. Their greatest life's accomplishments. But I'm sure along the way, there were other accomplishments too that they had to address fear and overcome. And on the other side, greater things that they probably didn't even think about. Ruby Dee is a excellent example of overcoming fear. As a teenager, she was painfully shy. She did not like being the center of attention. For those of you who have seen her on screen and on stage, she's a powerful force, powerful actress. Even speaking at civil rights rallies, she has a powerful voice. But as a youth, she was painfully shy. And so she learned by overcoming those fears and finding her voice through being in a play and getting applause for her performance and finding out that she was more than what she thought she was, that she could do more than what she thought she could do, that she could bring a character to life, to make it believable and to move people to applause. She found that on the other side of her fear. When we think about fear, we look at it as, what if this goes wrong? I'm suggesting, and what I've been working on myself trying to do, is saying, but what if it goes right? Instead of focusing on the negative, we need to focus on the positive. Focus on all the things that could go right. If I take this step out on faith, I conquer my fear, or carry my fear and walk through it until it becomes a confidence. What great things happens on the other side of this fear? And do I change it from looking at fear to saying, I'm taking a walk of faith? I don't know what's going to be on the other side, but I know where I am right now on this side is no longer comfortable. It no longer serves me, and I need to move in a new direction. I need to increase my circle of influence. I need to increase my circle of knowledge. And that's not going to happen until I make a move. Another thing that this quote brings to mind for me is looking at how fear and discomfort has led to major movements in history, especially in Black history, especially in the Civil Rights movement. If we look at the Montgomery boycott, bus boycott, people were afraid because they were forced to get to the back of the bus. And if more white people got on, they had to give up their seats. But it took Rosa Parks saying, "I'm not getting up." It took other women too who did the same thing. And it was like a snowball rolling downhill. And it took the finality of Rosa Parks saying, "I'm not getting up," and facing the fear of going to jail, facing the fear of white supremacists calling her house all times of days and nights, threatening her husband. But it helped other people galvanize and rise up, and it changed the world. It was a catalyst for change. When we look at the story of Emmett Till, and I'm looking at it from the standpoint of his mother, because usually in the South, when Black men, young or old, were lynched, were beaten, were dragged, were burned, people quietly had closed casket funerals and let that pain and that fear prevent them from saying anything because they didn't want any type of retaliation. Emmett Till, mother Mamie, realized that I'm up north, so I have a little bit of a cushion, but I want the world to see what they did to my boy. I want the world to know that this is going on because darkness is always canceled out by light. She wanted to shed a light on what they were doing and insisted on having an open casket. She stepped past fear and it opened up the world's view to what was going on. Even if we look at what's happening right now with Target and Dee, people are standing up and saying, "Hey, we want to be treated fairly. We work just as hard as anyone else. You're pulling all these programs. You're saying that you don't care about us and we spend our money. And if we don't know anything else about Black folks, we are loyal. We are loyal to a fault." So now Target is feeling the pinch because we've decided that we will not be disrespected. And even though in a lot of inner cities and communities, there are very few markets, so they have to go to the suburbs, they are choosing to go other places and wanting to make a difference and change how we are seen, both as consumers and as employees. So let's look at the challenge for the week. Create a fear journal where you list fears and challenge yourselves to tackle one each month. Now, if tackling one each month seems a little bit daunting to you, it might take you a little bit longer to get over a fear. Take as long as you want, but at least brain dump that list in a fear journal, all the things you fear, and work on it and just chop at it a little at a time. As you conquer your fears, you increase your faith, you increase your courage, your ability to do more, to take more chances, and also your ability to bounce back. If you do tackle something you fear and it doesn't go quite right, you don't go running away and scurrying in a corner. You're facing this and attacking it again because every fear you conquer increases, one, your faith in yourself, and two, your ability to do more, that it's not that you don't feel overwhelmed. Because a lot of fear too is just you feel like it's so much to do, you don't know where to start, you don't know how to do it. And you're just like, in creating a fear journal, it forces you to say, okay, here's everything I'm fearing, or I'm afraid to do, or I'm afraid to try, or even I'm afraid to say. And then you work on it and you tackle it one at a time. It takes some of the pressure and the stress off because you're not trying to do everything all at once. And we have to look for or should I say, we can look for encouragement in looking at the life of Ruby Dee, because like her contemporary Cicely Tyson, she refused to play stereotypical roles. And that made for an up or down career because she refused to be maids and mammies that were typically the only roles available for Black women at the time. And so in the times that she wasn't active in that, she was looking at doing more theater. She was looking at being a participant in different movements. She kept herself busy. She kept herself moving forward. She didn't let the fear of not being able to find work hold her back from saying, I want to portray women who are ambitious, who are assertive, who are positive role models, that everything that I put on screen, I can be proud of, my community can be proud of. Her and her husband, Ossie Davis, they were tireless in their fight for civil rights. They stood by Martin Luther King at the March on Washington. And for decades after that, they were continually protesting things like lynching. They were big protesters against apartheid in South Africa. And they were big on pressuring white-owned banks to give business loans to Blacks in Harlem, where they made their home most of their lives. She attacked that fear. He attacked that fear. And by doing so, they were a positive force for our community. Ruby Dee believed in the power of asking questions. And she had another great quote, which we might go over, but I'm going to share it here now in case I don't get to it. The greatest gift is not being afraid to question. You have not because you ask not. You don't know because you don't ask. It's a sign to move forward, and it's an amazing, amazing, amazing gift to have. So remember our challenge, create your fear journal, and remember her quote, God make me so uncomfortable that I will do the very thing that I fear. This audio is brought to you today using my Shure MV7 Plus microphone. I'm really enjoying this. If you're new to audio of any type, whether it's through meetings, whether it's through podcasts, whether it's through other shows, and you need a high quality microphone, I suggest the Shure MV Plus because it can be plugged straight into your computer. You don't need an audio interface. It has everything it needs in the Motive Mix Plus app that you can download to your phone as well as to your computer. And yes, this mic can even be used with your phone. So there's no excuse to not have high quality audio because people can take bad video, but no one can handle bad audio at all. Thank you for listening and or watching here on YouTube. I appreciate your time and your attention. Please share the podcast with some of your friends. And if you are listening on Apple or Spotify, please leave us a 5-star review. Give us some positive feedback. You are always welcome to pull up a chair. There's always room for more at The Gumbo is Hot and Made with Love. And we will see you next week.
Gather round, y'all. It's time to groove.